I think yesterday we have asked some of the participants, today, I think today Ananya and Anil Kumar. So now I request Ananya, yeah, I request Ananya to welcome Professor Raghavan Painod, the main resource person of the workshop. Is there Ananya? Ananya, yes.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Am I audible clearly, sir?
No, just say welcome, hi, and welcome all.
Audible.
Yes. Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Welcome and good evening to all. So, at the very beginning of today's workshop, I would like to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the respected chairperson, to the organizing committee, to all the dignitaries, and to all the participants for taking their time out and their enthusiastic participation in this workshop. And I think that we joined this workshop to learn more about folklore and folkloristics and basically the atmosphere of the symposium, this interaction with each other, I think will make the process of learning much more effective. At the very beginning or introductory session, which is almost writing the like the curtain raising session, we have seen that our honorable resource person, the primordial resource person of this 2 weeks workshop, um, our Professor Raghavan Painad, sir, he has hit at the bottom or at the crux of the problem, which is about revisiting the folklore and folkloristics, the crux of the main problem or the main crisis. I think that which he wanted to emphasize is about the decision of UNESCO, where it has given the folk traditions or the folk cultures of our country, and it has given this tag of intangible heritage. I think when they have used this term heritage, they have given a little bit of respect, I think, as they have acknowledged the culture, the rich culture of India as heritage. But I think they have denied the tangible part of this. This is not intangible, all the way. This is very much tangible because in this modern world also we can understand how fundamental or how deep rooted the Indian culture is, for our growth, for our existence in this modern world. So westernization, modernization has already been a threat to folk culture through ages, but I think that with little bit of driving force within us, little bit of motivation, the genuine concern for this, for nourishing or keeping alive the culture will definitely help us a lot. We need a little bit more investigation into this analysis, this discipline more, and definitely I think that nothing in this world can separate us from the deep connection that we have with this culture. With this, I think that it's time we hear more from Professor R. Painad, sir.
Okay, ma. Thank you, Ananya. Now I request Professor Raghavan Painod to start the lecture.
Good evening, participants, and all those who are here to attend this workshop. I especially express my gratitude to Dravidian University Folklore Department, as well as Institute of Folklore, Indian Folklore, for having this opportunity to be a resource person, main resource person. So now in the notice itself, first notice itself, we ask the participants, those who are going to apply, that a kind of a little bit warning that this may be an advanced course in folklore, because those who have some knowledge, basically theoretical knowledge in folklore, is needed to understand this course. Anyway, I think most of you are having some experience in folklore, and it's a difficult task and responsibility that I have to communicate to you. It is not very easy, that because as you know, the great poet of India, Sanskrit poet of India, Kalidasa, he wrote so many Mahakavyas. Among those, the Raghuvansham is the great Mahakavya. In the introductory part of that Mahakavya, he was telling this, that is, Pramstulibhi Phale Shobha Udvahuriva Vamana. എന്ന് പറയുന്നുണ്ട് അദ്ദേഹം. He's stating that truth, that he was trying to, he was explaining, he wanted to, the whole poem is, Mahakavya is about the Surya Vamsha, and that Surya Vamsha, and begins with the Raghu, and he, from Raghu to this Sri Rama, he wanted to elaborate the history of kings. So it is. He says that it is like a man wanted to, a man who is a dwarf, who wanted to get a fruit from a tall tree. His hand is, he put his hand up, and he was trying to get that fruit. So like that, in the same way, he also mentioning that a lame man, how a lame man wanted to have, that is, Pankhum Lankayade Giri. That is the thing that he wanted to express, that I am a dwarf, a man who is having this much of a little height, and I wanted to cross the great mountain before him. So in that way, here I am trying to, I don't know how much I can do. I can satisfy you in this respect, because it is, I am trying to evaluate the 3 centuries academic innovations in all disciplines, that is epistemological continuation that started with the Renaissance. And the next part is that what happened to folklore the last 2 centuries, amidst of this epistemological arena. What is the contribution? How that discipline, not discipline, that subject was taken care of by other subjects as well as the folklorists also. So this is the motto, this is the main intention of this workshop. We have to locate ourselves, locate this folklore somewhere in the so many disciplines. Among that discipline, where is our stand? Where is our position? I think that is, we are going to work on that. And I think now let us go to this one minute. Sorry. One minute, it has gone. So, yeah. Yeah. But it has gone. Okay, there is something wrong with this. Sorry, 1 minute. I'm trying to get that. What happened to this? I don't know. Something happened. 1 minute. Yeah. It's some problem with this. I don't know.
Ask Sivakumar Shah sir to share it, your PPT.
Yeah, Shivakumar, 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. Okay.
Sir, first open your file, then screen
Fine.
share.
Yeah.
First open the file, then you select that file while sharing the screen.
No,
then
it
will
is
be...
not fair. That is the problem with this. It is not like that.
No. First, in some other window, you have to open the file.
Sir, Sivakumar sir. Sivakumar sir. Hello.
Sir, before sharing the screen, you open the file.
Yeah, that is correct. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
First, you have to open the file.
Okay. Then 1 minute. Don't worry about it. I will get it. PPT.
Or that one, knowledge.
1 minute.
Introduction. Yes, open this introduction. Yeah, open that.
Yes, now it's coming.
No, it is not. Yeah, it has come?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Alan Mendes.
Yeah.
Giant in folklore. Yes.
So this is the thing that I wanted to share with some idea about this Londoners, because the whole thing is devoted to Londoners, this academic endeavor, because the whole thing, the whole discussion, discourse that we are doing here, especially I am going to do.
Sir,
Yeah, what is
lot
happening?
of others are speaking, some disturbance. Ask them to mute.
Sir, Venkatesha sir, yes, sir, Venkatesha sir muted. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Now it's okay, sir.
Yeah. I am audible.
Yes, sir. Now it is okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the whole thing based on this, what the Londoners did throughout his life, and at last he gave some idea about no, he was so particular about making this subject as a discipline. And he wanted to say that we have to make this, folkloristics. He is the man made use of that technical term, that is folkloristics. So nobody was there. That I will talk later. So this whole academic, he is no more. 2005 he left us, but still, what he has done throughout his life. Now, the situation has come that folklore itself as a subject very difficult to be. No, its existence in the domain of the academic domain. So I remember, he taught us. Most of us were taught, the senior scholars were got training by these Islanders when they conducted the workshop, Ford Foundation promoted workshop that 2-3 times, I think. So I will talk a little more about that later. Okay. Yeah, this is not working. Yeah. Sure. This is the introduction to today's our subject is introduction to the subject matter of the workshop. So it is the sum total of the workshop that I am going to, that the 9 these sessions that we have hereafter, that coming days, I try to explain what will be in the other sessions as an introduction to get an idea that what we are going to discuss. So this is the thing that the main question that the whole workshop is based on this question: why? As you know, they say any research, any academic endeavor start with the question why. So this academic endeavor, that is the workshop, deals with this answering this question, and if possible some remedy for that also. First of all, that Claude Lévi-Strauss kept in darkness. Why? That is one question. And the second question is, Alan Dundas did not get due recognition as folklorist, even though he is known as giant in folklore. Why? And third question is that folklore substituted by intangible cultural heritage. Why? Actually, these 3 questions, I wanted to get answer for these questions for the last few years. I have been working, I have been thinking, I have been reading so many things and wanted to give an answer for this. As you know, Claude Lévi-Strauss, when we consider this last century, 21st, the last century, the 3 eminent scholars who could change the whole academic world, this way of thought and everything, they are Lévi-Strauss, Marx, and Freud in the last century. And why? When the question is that when we conduct this Ford Foundation conducted one like this, there was a strict syllabus, a legible syllabus for that. But it was not, Lévi-Strauss was not there. Then we asked to Alan Dundas himself, why he was not in this workshop, inside this syllabus, why he was omitted. Then he couldn't give any answer for that. clear answer for that. And I have so many things to say about Claude Lévi-Strauss, but as related to our subject, he's the man, I think, as an academic research, he is the man wanted to keep all texts, available text into consideration for the analysis and interpretation of myth. This is not common because our academic way of understanding truth is that from text we generalize all the text and finding out a general text, and on that we are getting, getting ideas and creating so many ideas. So his methodology, the methodology that Lévi-Strauss adopted, he wanted to include each and every text available for the culture, especially for myth, of the myth, and in the analysis. So that is not very common. That is because of that in folklore research also, the way what is in them. The problem is that what exactly truth? We are trying to find out truth, basic principles behind the available reality. So this problem was taken by Lévi-Strauss seriously, and he wanted to say that he always saying that each and every text is valuable for the analyst to understand the particular community, because a text is not mere text, it is the expression of a group of people. They wanted to deviate from the main culture. So that is very, very important as far as folklore is concerned. That is why I wanted to put this question. Why then the whole world, especially America and this Europe, never considered this great scholar? Then the next one is Alan Dundas. He also didn't get due respect or due consideration in folklore and as well as in other disciplines, people working in other disciplines also. He have been doing so many researches. He introduced all the theories. He wanted to work on all theories, considering the data, taking data from different these cultures, and prove that all these this one, that is the inductive method that he made use of. So the problem is that in 1982, I think, he came forward with the new definition for folklore. Who are the folk? And he himself says an answer that we are the folk among others. So that is the main, I think that is the main idea, main driving force for this workshop. I think that definition. That is why I wanted to put this. Then he was not merely giving that definition. He was working on that, and he made this like it's like a chicken coop ladder. Whatever he said on this. And he proved through his studies that is German culture. What is the truth behind German culture? Why these two world wars happened? And all these things he used to consider there also. Then third question is folklore substituted by intangible cultural heritage in 2004 by UNESCO. It is not a abrupt decision. Since 1952, people were thinking about this folklore seriously. And in the beginning, it was something else. Even in 1989, the World Conference on this folklore, safeguard folklore, they created so many put forward so many suggestions to implement, but nothing happened. 1989, then 1999. I will come later on that. Why? The question is that why this international body wanted to substitute this term. That means hereafter it is not this legitimate to use the term folklore. That is another thing. So we have to 1 minute. Okay. It's not working. So we had to, before entering into the subject to locate folklore, we have to have an idea about knowledge categorization. The knowledge can be divided into two, that is science and humanities. Science deals with the physical world, whatever they have in this universe. The other one is about dealing with humans, especially human culture. Human means not anatomy or physiology of humanity, human being, but the culture that created by human being. So we have two things in this world, that is physical world, as well as the culture created by the society, by the human being. So science deals with the physical world. The culture, this one, humanities deals with what created by the society, by the humanity. So then we can divide this science, pure science. Then we have social science and humanities, as you've seen in the diagram, that it has a relationship. Why we call it a social science, and humanities different from social science, and pure science is different from social science, and it has its own. This one I don't have much time because we have, I think we have 17 or to 18 slides we have to deal with. So I don't want to go in detail. Anyway, this is the thing that we have science, that is pure science, social science, and humanities. You see, when we come to folklore and folkloristics, folklore, as you learned in the classroom as well as in the serious studies by the scholars, we have two categories, that is folklore refers folklore as data as well as an academic subject, academic folklore. Any academic work, we need data. So to define a discipline or a subject, you have to define what is the data of that used for that particular academic discipline, the area of data, and then what is the method, and what is the objectives of that particular subject. So in that way, we have folklore as data, and on that data, we use to do this academic work. Then we had to see that this folklore studies and folkloristic, there is a difference between these two, because it was Alenderness was so particular about that. That is why he wanted to give that definition. The difference between these two, folklore studies and folkloristics, is folklore studies belong to humanities and folkloristics belongs to social science. So, as a social science, folkloristics, it had its own data and its own methodology, how to deal with this data, and the clear-cut specific objective of the study also. If you can define these three, then it can be considered as a social science. If it is something related to social, its data on the social data, then we can call it a social science. So humanities is okay. Folklore studies is the data is folklore, but if you ask what is the methodology that you are going to employ on this data, as far as humanities, it is considered that there is no specific. You are free to apply any theory, any concept on that data. So this is the thing. And about this objectives of the study also, it varies. Each and every folklore studies has its own objectives, and maybe the methodology also different from one to another. So only data. So this is the problem with folklore that folklore faces, because when cultural studies came in, then the question we asked, what is the difference between cultural studies and folklore studies? In a nutshell, we can't answer a question for that. Because I wrote a serious paper on this puttu, a food item that is available in Kerala. No, that I worked on that in the workshop that was valued by this Alendendas in that workshop, and he made that comment that it should be published. That I kept that in my file, that paper. So then, in people who read that particular paper, all of them said that it is not a folklore paper, no, it is a culture study. So that is the problem with this thing. When culture study came in, folklore studies and culture studies has not much difference. So it was it's a serious issue that we faced, the folklorists faced. So that is the thing. Now we are coming to another area, knowledge to culture. As I explained earlier, that human beings is the only species can create culture. Any other species in this universe, they live, they eat and finish everything, but they can't create anything. We create, we nourish so many things, and we also eat. We make use of that. But the difference between human being and human species and other species is that humans are able to create this culture and modify that culture. They can create so many texts to a particular cultural item. So that is the difference between these two. So from how we are doing that knowledge? Now we produce knowledge, human mind, human brain understands everything, and they create culture, create knowledge out of that. And that knowledge, whatever knowledge we create for the last 2-3 centuries, that decided our fate actually. So knowledge is something that through generalization, we find out the principles behind this very text put into through generalization put into one, and we say that this is the truth, and that is knowledge. So knowledge is ultimate truth, and it is universal also. Knowledge and not ends with that. Knowledge creates ideology, how to perceive. Because human mind is here. I am an individual. I can perceive, I can look whatever outside world. But how I am understanding something, it is decided by the ideology. Then there is a sea in between. Whatever we understand, whatever we see is not true. It is not truth. It is a kind of how to understand. When you wanted to know a particular species that maybe a plant, which can be to a particular society, it may be a useless one, and it is considered as a part of this some useless species, and they never wanted to keep that inside the combo. But the same species may be a nourished food for other culture because of this, because how to understand this, how to recognize this, how to conceive this, that is the problem with them. And there is so as far as social science, this society is considered, they have the perception. So each society understand, each society look at the same object in different way, in their own way. So why it happens? It is because of the ideology. So ideology creates perception, how to perceive things. So that creates how to consider. After that perception gives you conceiving things. From that conceiving, and once you conceive something, it won't stand still. It works. And a particular society conceived something as reality, as a knowledge, or something, then it works. It works on this nature itself, and that is called culture. So there is a continuous process that we look at the nature, outside world, and we understand that, we identify that, and we perceive that. Through that perception, we conceiving some idea inside our mind, and that creates something, and we change this outside world itself. That is called culture. Culture is nothing but this without distracting nature, maybe in a tiny way or in a huge way. Anything that we human being does, it affects. It has an effect on the nature. Without that, we can't live here. So that is the problem with this. You see, cultural evolution theory and its impact. You see, this early anthropologist, especially Morgan, that will come, I think, little later, that the seed of globalization was cultural evolution theory, sown by early anthropologists. We are talking much about this globalization, what kind of peril it creates. But the seed was sown by the anthropologists, early anthropologists, maybe 2 centuries back, when this cultural evolution theory has come. So I don't have much time to explain that. Cultural evolution theory have been regulating the concept of development, because cultural evolution theory divide the whole humanity into 3 categories. That is the evolutionary category, that is primitive, barbaric, and civilized. And those who are living, it is the rate of this evolution, or this position of a particular society's culture is considered by is measured by how much technology they use, how much they consume the industrial product. That is the rate of that is the basic principle make use of to understand a particular society. That is why when British people came here, they told that Indians are barbaric, because India making use of on those days making use of only little technology and consuming industrial product in a minimum way. That is why we were considered as this barbaric. They put themselves, Western people put themselves as civilized. So cultural evolution theory have been regulating the concept of that. So what is development then? Cultural evolution theory proclaimed that the ultimate goal of any society is to attain the status of civilization. If it is true, then we have to, any society all over the world, whether it is in Africa or India or Australia or interior forest or anywhere, the ultimate, it is a principle. If it is a principle, it will work. It is a principle means a universal truth. A theory, you know what is theory? Theory is universal truth. It is applicable to all humanity as far as culture is concerned. So as a cultural theory, they propose that the ultimate goal of humanity is to, any society is to get, attain the status of this civilization. Then what is civilization? Civilization is nothing but maybe a large, maybe not 10%, maybe 10%, this industrial product they consume, and the technology in their life, the technology plays an important role. So they are considered as civilized. So whatever we say, that's a development concept, then this is the development. What is development? Development is civilization. To get that, to attain that status of civilization, we have to make this infrastructure in such a way that this civilization is possible, could be possible. That is for development, our government, whether it is a state government or central government, always talking about, hundreds of times they are talking about development. Then nobody knows that what is development. In Kerala now, this terrain, the problem is very, very, very serious. Why? Because it is in the name of development. What is that development? It is infrastructure for industry. What is industry? Industry is nothing but production of this new commodity, new product, produce new products in the market. It reaches in the market, it becomes commodity, and it is consumed by the society. So that is the ultimate goal. Time to time, it appears in disguise. I will explain those things, I think, later. What is disguise now in the early cultural evolution theory? In disguise, in economical term, in political term, when our this time to time whenever it is needed. In this case, it appears. Paradigm of knowledge production and industry. It is, I was looking at this research methodology, the production of knowledge. What is the process behind to produce knowledge? What is the process? Yes, you know, that I will explain later in detail. This from problem, there is a problem. Then you want to answer that problem. So research starts with a problem, and we create hypothesis, and later we, according to our objective, that is how to solve this problem, we create a hypothesis. Then, according to that hypothesis, with that hypothesis, we go to the field and collect data and analyze in terms of this hypothesis, and if possible, interpretation also. Then we get an answer, and that answer is a personal experience, and we wanted to communicate that to the other fellow academicians, and that's called presentation. That is research. That is this process of this production of knowledge. When we look at this, what happens in industry? No, the same thing. There are some problems in the society, and this political leaders or social economists or anybody, they wanted to give answer for that. Then it ends with a product. That means raw material is there. In industry, we can define an industry like this. There is a raw material, and on that raw material, at different levels, different point of time and space, we impose different kinds of energy at different volumes, and then at last it comes out, that raw material comes out as a fine product. Then it ends not only there, not only that, after that, this product, it is valueless. It goes, the third part also is there. That is, I think it will be explained later. Then it goes to the market, and it becomes commodity, and that commodity is consumed. Now, it is expected to consume by the society. If you are not resist to that, they find out some way, by hook or crook, it will be accepted. Later, it will be accepted by the society. So that is the thing. Now, this what is the time now? 1 minute. What is the time now? There is more break. Okay. Let's say that 1951. Okay. Let us have a break here, and I will summarize whatever we already discussed, and if somebody wanted to ask something and something. So this up to this, I was talking about knowledge. I was in the beginning, I was talking about the knowledge system that we have. That is science, social science, and humanities. And we were trying to locate folklore somewhere. And this folklore as an academic subject, it has two branches. That is folklore studies and folkloristics. And the difference between these also, folkloristics is part of, it belongs to social science, and folklore studies is part of this humanities. So, after this, we were talking about this, how knowledge is created, and that knowledge, how that knowledge is moving from that point, and how it happens. This through different stages, it affects our society. And the next part is that this one, about this cultural anthropology, this knowledge creation and its influence. They proclaim that the cultural evolution is in this line and nobody can escape from that. That is why we have this situation, this present situation, that is this primitive to barbaric and barbaric to civilization. So we are trying to be civilized, so to be civilized, part of the civilized society. So this is the thing that we explained so far. Now I'm coming to knowledge and development, two possible knowledge and development. What is the relationship between this knowledge and development and this different kinds of development and that thing? I think if you have any clarification in anything, you can ask for a while and we can go again. Yeah.
Sir, one question I have.
Yeah, 1 minute. Okay. Okay, you can ask. I don't want to.
Sir, sorry. You just told that cultural evolution theory divides the society into three categories.
Yeah.
One is
Yeah,
barbaric.
No, primitive. First one is primitive. Okay. Yeah.
Primitive, barbaric, and civilized.
Yeah.
Sir, primitive and barbaric, are they not synonyms, or are they not quite?
Are they not?
Are they not quite similar, sir? Like primitive and barbaric?
No.
They don't. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm just asking, sir, because. I
Yeah,
don't-
primitive. Yeah, no. You can finish that then, and then I'll interfere. Something more?
Illa, sir,
Yeah.
I wanted to know, because I've been thinking all these days primitive and barbaric are one and the same. So you can correct me, sir, if I'm wrong.
No, it is not like that. It is three categories, three positions in the evolution. There is three segments: that primitive society and barbaric society and civilized society. In two ways, they explain this one. One is the rate of this culture. Society's life is considered, and the rate of putting some society in where the location of that particular society in the evolutionary process. That is, if no technology or little technology, only a little technology making use of that society is considered as primitive. They don't have any technology as such. And the next one is that technology, if some society making use of some kind of technology, not this more technology, partially. And the third one is the life is fully based on the technology, industrial product. This is the difference, one way of understanding or locating these societies. The other way is that they are living surroundings. Those who are living as part of nature, that's our tribal society or tribal society anywhere. They are considered as primitive, part of the nature, like animals. They live inside the nature. And those who are living outside this forest, and those who are living out of this agriculture and this grazing animals, this looking after animals also, they are considered as barbaric. For that, they used to use technology, little bit technology also. But in the case of civilized society, they are in the cities, not in these villages. So that is why, if you understand now our definition about folk also, that is why in early days, we consider now this anthropology was so strong, they defined folklore and they told that these barbaric people are folk, those who are living in villages. So to understand this, who are the folk? In early days, the answer is barbaric, or this peasant community. Peasant community is nothing but barbaric. So this is the answer for this clarification for your doubt. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Anybody else? So let us come to this. When we no, I am not going to make it clear everything here because it is an introduction of the whole class and now the whole sessions that we are going to have hereafter. It is just introducing the subject. Now, after this this session, you have a big idea about what is this workshop. That is why I wanted to put this and not get much clarity at this juncture. So, two possible models of development. That is uplifting model and unification model. You see, as you've seen, that I will explain next time, I think, next session. Unification model is that there are different cultures, and each culture has its specific this text for their culture. But through generalization, we find out that the academicians find out that through generalization, it is one and the same. So they can know that is the thing that I will explain later, not now. So this is a unification model of development. That is unification. Try to understand everything basically on the basis of some basic idea. And even though diversity is there, that diversity, put that diversity together and make it one and try to understand, that is called unification. So that is the way to understand this world, understand the society. So whether it is science or social science or humanities, what we are doing is actually this unification thing. Then another way of model is that uplifting. Actually, Gandhi was proposing this one, uplifting model of development. That is why he was so particular about village. Village has its own life and it will develop by itself, by self-reliance. That is the idea of Mahatma Gandhi. So there are two models, but fortunately or unfortunately, we accept that all over the world, people accepted the unification model. That model is based on this this cultural evolution theory, that this basic idea, the idea came from there. I will explain later. Production of knowledge in terms of a unification model for development. I don't have much time to explain that. This diversity, what the research that we are doing, how a globalized world order now we have, because this is the thing that picture shows, that diverse reality is there, A, B, C, D, E. Then it is a different text or different culture. Then through generalization, we find out universal principles. That is called as truth, universal truth. In that universal truth, apply that universal truth on the fact from where it has come. The source from where this idea, this truth has found out. We apply that there. That is called as in this industry. The whole industrialization is based on this. It's universal principles. Each and every universal principles as an application part. And that application part means it is that theory. If you find out a theory from diverse reality and find out this is only one reality, and that is a conceptual reality, and that is become a knowledge, and that is the application of that is then that application. Where do you apply that? You don't have any other space, only this world. From where it has come, you can apply on that particular raw material, particular part of nature. You apply that. That is called application. That is called technology. Then technology is the science of application. Again, that science of application is technology. That technology make use of this technology by the industrialist. It is called industry. And from that industry, product coming out, and that product is universal product and universal system. System means, yeah, that also a product. Universal nowadays, a social system is a product. It is created by us for some reason, and we create two things by these universal products to consume, and the system, life system, any kind of system, not only life system, any kind of system that he creates out of this. And after that, the problem of, I don't have much time here, we will explain later. Through liberalization, when postmodern period, then liberalization has come. Through that liberalization, a globalized world order is attained or attaining nowadays through liberalization. What to liberalize? Those things I will explain later. Folklore and folkloristics during a modern period. Now another section is coming that we are coming to, a session for folklore and folkloristics during a modern period. I will explain in elaborate because we have two sessions for that. What is folklore and folklore during modern period? As you see in this folklore in modern period, that is not folklore means folklore data. How to consider that data? Nostalgic, considered as nostalgic, view of civilized on barbaric, then generic, the concept folklore. Genre, on those days, genres are very important. We understand this folklore through genres, and concept of if something happens to that particular genre, then it deviates from that, then we called as especially this Richard M. Dawson talked about this folklore. And the fourth one is preservation and dissemination for fear of extinction. So the whole endeavor by the Food Foundation, by these so many agencies during the last century, it is for the sake of this preservation and dissemination for fear of extinction of the native culture or folklore. This is what happened in modern period. And folklore studies in modern period, theories of origin, functional theories, or formic theory, that is partly part of structuralism also. Okay, that is I will explain later. That is over. Folklore and folkloristics from modern period to 21st century. That is modern period. It's a continuation that the colonial, we can explain that modern period as politically colonial period and nation state period, and postmodern period as neo-colonial period and period of globalization, and 21st century interference of international agencies issue that right over folklore. Who owns folklore? These are things in 21st century, it was so seriously considered that what is happening in the field of folklore in this modern period, postmodern period, and 21st century, what is the the thing that is happen, what is the facts that happens in the field of folklore. Then alternate model of knowledge production that leads to sustainable development. You may be thinking that why I am talking all these things, such things nothing to do directly with folklore. I'm talking about these models of development and this anthropological theory and science and so many other things. Because without a knowledge, without this background of that particular knowledge system, epistemological background, it is very difficult to evaluate what is happening in the field of folklore. So, now the whole world is moving with the developmental concept. No subject, no discipline can sustain without without the consideration of the concept of development. Because folklore is the discipline or the subject folklore is kept away from these such things. We are nostalgic on that all over the world, nostalgic on that, and we were praising and we are collecting and praising and keeping that folklore with us. That is why folklore got, that the subject got this such a kind of fate today. We never bothered about what is happening in the society, what is happening in the political system, what is happening in the economic system, and what is the relation between these things with folklore. We never bothered about that. Still, what we are doing in our universities, our research scholars, our teachers, and all, most of them, I am not talking generalizing, but most of the work that we have been doing is this such thing. Never consider what is happening outside. Why I wanted to study this one? If you ask to a research student, why you selected this topic? No answer. So this is the thing. So as I said earlier, an alternate model of knowledge production that leads to sustainable development. The knowledge is the root cause of everything. What kind of knowledge? Knowledge make you understand, perceive this world, and accordingly you recreate this world. So without that, without an understanding of these such things, it is very difficult to work in academic discipline. What is the relationship between these things? Now, as far as development is concerned, I was talking about two models of development. Which model of development is applicable, no more appropriate for this folklore as a discipline? We had to think about that. That is the problem with now we never ask question, what is the politics of this folklore? What is the economic this background of this particular folklore? What is the social background of social relevance of this folklore? We never ask. That is the problem with the folklore. So, as a discipline, if not only this for the academicians, but for the well-being of the society hereafter, what should be our stand in the developmental system? What is our role? If you have no role in the developmental system, nobody is going to consider you. You can sing and you can do this dance and other things and say that our past is great and like that. But who is going to consider that? People are there to take this folklore and modify that and the appropriated, more appropriate this one changes they put on that and they take that into the market and sell out. Then what to do? So this is the problem. So we have to have an idea, a clear-cut idea. Where is our stand? What is our stand? What is our opinion about the what is happening outside? In any problem, because we are as far as folklore is concerned, folklore is the life of the people. As Dawson said, it's folk life. Whatever happens to in this world is on the life of the people. So we are the first people, first academic society, academic community to talk about whatever happens in this arena, but in this world. So we never bothered about that. So we have to have a clear-cut idea about what kind of development is needed for the society, for the sustenance. Then another model we need. That model is this one that is diverse. No, we are not against universal principles. That I will explain later. So an alternative model of knowledge production that leads to sustainable development. This, all the people are talking about diverse reality and diverse life and so many things, diversity and everything, and this nature and everything. But whatever then they used to say, apart from that, they are for the so-called unification model of development. That unification model of development never consider diversity. They are talking, they are always talking life. So knowledge is everything. Knowledge decides. That is the basic thing, that knowledge, production of knowledge. That production of knowledge, which kind of development that we has to accept. And accordingly, we have to find out a way to create knowledge in such a way that it supports that kind of a development. That is the thing that I don't want to explain that way. Folklore as a discipline. Now let us come to the folklore. Folklore as data. That data is here now. It is in your left side. You see that intangible cultural heritage. It became already. It is decided that it is intangible cultural heritage. But we folklorists used to say that folklore is as data and academic folklore is there. And as I earlier told, that this is folklore studies and folkloristics, that is one belongs to humanities and other belongs to social science. So that is the thing. Folklore studies and folkloristics. What is the difference between these two? I will deal this elaborately in the last session or the previous session. Last but one, I think. As far as folklore studies and folkloristics are concerned, you see this table that feature of folklore studies and feature of folkloristics, that is regarding data. Folklore studies, folklore itself is the data. But folkloristics, this text won't be enough. Folklore in context is. That is why I am talking about Danvanampus. Folklore in context is needed for this folkloristics as a social science. It is part of the data. Is any folklore is alive in a particular society, and we had to understand that inside that society we had to look into, and we had to understand that is folklore in context. Method of research, inductive method for this folklore studies, and deductive method for this folkloristics. Process of research towards universal principles through generalization in the case of folklore studies, towards a diversity principle from universals. That is the suggestion that I have. Folkloristics. What is the objectives of folklores? That is in search of diversity principle of any folklore. And ideology, in support of the ideology of uplifting model of development. Role of researcher, observer, then subject. These are technical conceptual thing. I don't have time to explain this at this juncture. I will explain that, I think, in the the respective session. So these are the difference between these folkloristics and folkloristics as objectives, ideology, role of researcher. It is different from the folklore studies as humanities. Okay, then future of folkloristics. So we had to give a new definition to folkloristics. That is the maybe the this goal of final goal of this workshop. I think already such kind of a definition as given by Alan. I put a little more elaborate that same definition. Folkloristics is the scientific study of lore of any group of people who feel themselves as we among others in relation to its varied texts and surrounding genres in search of their diverse identity. That is folkloristics, folklore studies that anybody can study in any way. That is the thing. So hereafter, the two possibilities are there. That is, you can change them. We can, in the same way that we can go with this folklore studies, or new way to understand this folklore by folkloristics. So go on with and develop the concept of folklore and folkloristics initiated by Alan Enders in support of alternative development, ideologically disassociate with liberalization, globalization. That is maybe our stand. So that is one possibility. It is not very easy. That anyway, we are going to discuss that in detail, and I expect your comments and your deliberations also in this respect. And as far as folklore studies is concerned, try to analyze and interpret folklore to satisfy the needs of the new world order that is going on nowadays. Accept the new world order and mold folklore in tune with the concept of intangible cultural heritage. This is one way that we can mold our subject, folklore. Folklore has two divisions possible. One is folkloristics and folklore studies. Folklore studies is the study of lore in a particular way that analyze and interpret folklore to satisfy the need of the new world order. That can be that directly or indirectly, most of us are doing the same. But as Alan has proposed, we have to go for this folkloristics, which is I think hereafter it is a must. We have to accept that because the direction of the world is in such a way that it is going to a peril. So in this way, we can understand our culture, our folklore. I think this is the thing that we can stop it here by, I think it is nearly 8:21. Okay, then you can ask clarification or something or this thing. Okay. Okay. 8:30 to 9, we have discussion session. Anybody can discuss about this, such whatever we discussed in this session. You can make comments, you can differ, you can make any comment on this. Okay. Shumar. Hello. Shumar.
മാഷെ സ്ക്രീൻ കൊടുത്താൽ മതി.
ഞാൻ കൊടുക്കാം.
8:30 to 9, we have discussion session. Anybody can discuss about these items.
This is the time for the participants to interact with the resource person. You can ask any question as you like. And all the participants invariably have to take part in this discussion.
Okay, anybody?
Sir, Padmini here. Sir, I'm still very, very confused between folkloristics and folk studies, because one way it's a humanitarian and one it is social science. But in both aspects, we are dealing with humans. It's about humans in both.
Yes.
Sir, I'm new to
Yeah.
folklore, so kindly pardon if I'm asking something not very sensible.
Yeah. At this juncture, it is that confusion is itself is enough, because you feel confusion means that you understood something. So anyway, we will come to that later in detail. Then you understand this question. I think we don't want to explain here more about those things. I think in the coming session it will be we deal with that in detail. Then you don't have any because humanities and social science. Social science is science, a part of science, because it's subjective way of understanding something, but through empiricism. But it is not possible in the case of social sciences, because it is something related to abstract. So we can't do that. So then there is a method for this, how to deal with this social subject, society. And that is in a scientific way to understand the society, that is called social science. So that we deal, I think, in detail in the next coming sessions. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. This session is for make you confused, not for understanding everything, If you have confusion, then you will be more this attention. You give more attention in the coming sessions, how to understand these things. So it is only an introductory thing, and the whole thing, that 9 sessions that we have, I put it into one session. So it is not very easy to understand. Then?
Sir, this is Ananya Gain. Thank you for your very insightful lecture. Sir, I am also confused regarding one thing, the proposal that you have at the end of this lecture, that maybe one possibility is that we can mold ourselves in tune with the new world order. Yeah. So if we try to remodel ourselves in the from the intangible role of this folklore and folkloristics part, so will it lose its credibility as a very tangible reality, or as a very significant academic discipline. Because if we think about literature, if we think about drama, if we think about novel, that is also very much imaginary work. Those are works of fiction. But people are not that much concerned about the ramifications, or about the importance of that subject. So why the folklorists are this much concerned about the future of folklore and the studies of folkloristics? This is my query, this is my
Yeah,
concern.
it is not the worry of, not only the worry of folklore or as a discipline, but this classical subject, all subjects faces problem nowadays.
Yes, sir,
Because,
these are subjects. uh,
uh,
if if
yeah,
I'm not interrupting, if these are subjects of humanities, it is trying to understand the psychology of human, it is trying to understand the position of human in the society. We have come so much forward in the modernism, postmodernism, and now we are into this um, era of post-humanism also. So we are into this Anthropocene time. So what is the problem? What is the main crisis or issue that is kind of haunting us, haunting all the disciplines of humanities?
yeah, I think this question it will be cleared later, because we are dealing with this topic that social science and these humanities and the science, even science also we are dealing with. And as far as development is concerned, science take one step forward, and next step is by social science or humanities, and vice versa. So that is why a slide is in the later session that science propose and social sciences substantiate, or the vice versa also. That is the developmental process that is going on this world. So both are complementary to each other. They have science has its own, not having any its own existence without the support of the social science, because the ultimate goal of any science is the product that becomes a commodity, and it is consumed by society, because the society the problem of the society deals with social science and humanities, unless they are not supposed to give a nod to accept this new commodity. Science is nothing. So
Yeah.
these are both are complementary to each other. That we will explain, I think, later in the coming session. So we can't say that folklore or any social science history or any social science, it is alone existence by its own. It is part of the life of the people, and it deals with this something. And the history that we studied earlier in the classroom is nothing nowadays. It is something else now, because the social reality is something else, and we understand the past in another way. So how it happens? So the physical world as well as the life of the people has changed. Society has changed. Accordingly, we reappropriating everything, even science reappropriating, and social science also reappropriating accordingly, and the humanities also. So we have to understand this. That is why I started with this the domain of knowledge. That is this science, social science, and humanities. We have to understand what is the difference between these three. Otherwise, as an academician, the common people, it has nothing to do with that. But as an academician, if we are doing a research, whether we have to understand that whether it is a part of science or this application, technological science, or this social science or humanities, we have to understand that. literature, whether it is humanities or social science. Even once upon a time, this geography was considered as an art subject, that is humanities. Now, they wanted to say that it is not like that now. We are part of the science. It is part of science, social science. Psychology, once upon a time, it was not science, part of social science. Now it is part of social science. So everything getting changed. So we have to understand all these things. Then only we can understand what is folklore, actually. What is folklore studies? And what is folklore? What is the difference between what is the function of this academic discipline in the contemporary society? If we have no function, we have to leave the scene. We have to go behind the curtain. Some people wanted to do that. They wanted to put folklore and folkloristics put behind the curtain. It has its own political reason, its own social reason, economical reason. That is why intangible cultural heritage substitution is because of that. I will explain later in detail. Okay.
Sure, sir. It seems quite intriguing and interesting.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Sir, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for such a wonderful presentation. And there's one simple doubt, can I say that whether the interdisciplinary nature of the folklore is obstructing the somewhere identity of folklore as an independent discipline, sir?
Yeah, then we had to deal with this subject when, at what juncture, what political, economic, and social scene this interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary came into the academic arena. You have to look into that. It has its own reason why interdisciplinary. You know, each theory has its own ideology. And if you apply the same different theories on particular data, what will be the result of that? Different ideology works on the same data, and the result may be, I don't know what will happen. Everybody was talking about interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary, and it is something, it is a postmodern theory, theoretical stand. Why? You know, this Levi-Strauss analyzed the myth of Oedipus, and he found out that it is the basic understanding of basic meaning of that is the binary opposition, that this basic binary opposition that human culture faces, that is autonomous creation or creation by this population of male and female. That is the one main binary that our culture faced. Wherever it is, wherever human being is there, that therefore in all culture, this paradigm works. That was his innovation. The same story was taken by this Freud. What he found out? He found out that it's a basic principle. He found out a principle out of that and told that it is Oedipus complex. And later, modifying that, he went to another, that the other complex also. So, if you put these things together, what to do? What kind of result you get? One is the discipline of structural anthropology. It has its own ideology. No, it will be a little bit clear when we talk about this theories and its politics and its relation to ideology also. Anyway, we are going to discuss that also. So interdisciplinary, yeah, that is possible, and multidisciplinary is also possible. But as a discipline, you should have your own methodology and your own objectives and your own way of understanding that. And multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary are also possible. Somebody can do that. We are not going to deny that. That is possible. But if you want to have an interdisciplinary, there should be then the folklore. Now, if you want to study folklore in an interdisciplinary way, you have to first make it a discipline or a subject of its own, with its own aims and objectives and methodology. Then it becomes get the status of a subject or discipline. Then you can go for interdisciplinary. So this is the thing. It is not a crime that we go for this interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary. That is possible. But we have to understand a little bit, we go into a little bit deep for this such discussion, I think, that we can take into consideration later.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Subramanian.
This is Ruchi Rana, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you for the wonderful lecture. And sir, in the beginning, from the beginning, you emphasized on having a holistic approach to studying folklore.
Yeah.
By mentioning about how politics, ideologies, different facets of life is so important when we study folklore. So what then are the challenges that follows while having such an approach? And as researchers, how can we overcome the biases that we take from our own coming from different disciplines? And then I think the talk also transfers and travels from talking about just folklore to the folklorist, the identity of who is the folklorist, and to become more reflexive. Otherwise it won't become very clear for young researchers to how to approach our texts if we do not travel deep inside of how we are going to pursue a certain folk aspect.
Yeah. Okay, this I think earlier I was talking about this little bit earlier, I think. Why this folklore as a discipline? Who are the, yesterday Chalaperumal sir also was telling about this, who are folklorists and definition for folklorists and other things. Actually, we are trying to answer that question also through this workshop. Who is a folklorist? That is why, as a folklorist, I gave an example that as a folklorist, I made a research paper on this particular food item, puttu. Then, in Calicut University, those who are in the field of cultural studies, eminent scholars who are there, and they read that and they told that it is a cultural study, not folklore. That is the problem with such studies and folklore. Now, folklore is, I don't know what is the difference between, if you read an article written by a folklorist, then somebody read that, not knowing the author as such, such and such person belongs to which category, which discipline, then it is very difficult to identify that which discipline that particular paper belongs. This is the position that we have in folklore that we faces. So that is why we wanted to have a clear-cut definition for folklore, folklore studies, as well as folkloristics. it is a must, that is folkloristics and folklore studies. Because you can approach with a different ideology we have, and you can apply that those on the basis of that ideology, you can try to understand folklore. Then naturally, you get a result out of that. That is a folklore study. Folklore study, part of folklore study. You can apply any theory, any concept, make use of interdisciplinary these theories from different disciplines and put together and find out this and multidisciplinary approach or anything. But if you want to have, as a discipline, if you want to explain or want to locate folkloristics somewhere, you should have to say that the ultimate goal of this discipline is this objectives of the particular area. And if it is so, how we are going to study that? What is the data behind that? The data we have no argument, because it's folklore, whether it is folklore studies or folkloristics, it is the data is folklore. No problem in that case. But the problem is with the methodology. What kind of a methodology you are going to employ on this data? And that decides both these objectives of the study and the method of the analysis or interpretation that make a discipline one from another. So folklore has it. I don't know whether now folklore has any such a clear-cut objective of a research methodology or thing. So you should have. That is my argument, I think. Okay.
Is there any other questions? Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir,
think
yes, sir.
Kada Subramaniam is asking.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Raghavan, sir. As usual, Raghavan, sir, session is a very strong theoretical session, sir. It's always as like it is. Sir, when you are explaining about the cultural construction of cultural phenomena, you clearly explained that how knowledge become ideology, perception, and conceiving, and it's become as a culture. You rooted by that way, as may understand, sir. Here, in nowadays, the knowledge may change, sir, and the perception also changes. But the final product of culture become the more strong phenomena, which is as unchanged. Like, for example, I can say that the knowledge about the world creation, how the world evolved, once it was as a knowledge, then there was some perceptions also there. And after the science developed, the knowledge about the world formation, it changes, sir. And the perception also changed. But the culture, which is as like the God created the world, like this type of culture, it dominates and it plays a very vital role in a human life. More than the knowledge changes, perception changes, and all the things changes. But in the reaction, in the chain reaction, the final part of culture, it looks like a unchanged and a vital role in all aspects, sir. As a cultural studies people or as a folklorist, how to view this, sir? If you think as a chain reaction.
But I don't feel that culture is something last long. Always culture getting new text out of the earlier text. I am not talking about original text. From the same text, when that is a contextual theory also says, no? If context gets changed, then text also should get changed. That is why if something happens in the society or in the environment, either in natural or the social environment, this text get appropriation by itself appropriate itself and creating many number of text. You see, a particular, for example, a particular folk tale. A particular folk tale, when it is originated in a particular society as an outcome, it's an expressive form of their problem actually. When it moves to the next culture, they create from that text, they create a new text out of that. And not only that, that same society, after years passes, then they create new text for that folk tale. Not only new text, it enter into new genres also. The same message goes intrude into the another genre, because genre is a communication system. If the message is not properly communicated, it is a fail to communicate that particular genre is not enough. The people feel they intrude that message, they put it into another genre, and new genre is coming with same message. So what we get is folklore, but it has this ability to create any number of text, any number of genre also. So this transformation, it's called as transformation. When we say that from one genre to another genre, it is transformation. A transformation of one genre to another genre, that also possible. Not only that, if there is a tale or myth or something in a society, in a legitimate way of expression is possible, not the whole part of that myth. The society won't allow. In public, they are not allowed to talk the whole thing. But they wanted somehow communicate that. Then first part of that will be in one genre, and the next part, the other part, this remaining part in another genre. That is the problem with the folklore. We never understand. We are always doing this the generic studies. We never understand that each genre is not a single genre is not reliant by itself. It is not unique. That if you want to understand that particular genre, you have to find out another genres, because the part of that portion of that one is in another genre. So intergeneric, not intergeneric, holistic generic approach is needed to understand folklore. So we failed all over the world. The folklore studies for the last so many centuries, few centuries, that is based on genre. Genre is not so safe. It's a genre. Always this genre is not self-reliant. It is completed. It is complementary to other genre also. So if you don't understand that other genre, which has the part of that message is in that, then this one is going to fail. So this is such a problem. It is very difficult to understand how to analyze the folklore. We are doing so many things. That is another thing. Yeah, satisfied. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah,
I can give example also for these such things. So we don't have time also.
Hello, still we have 10 more minutes. I request participants to react, to interact. Yeah. And Professor Syamala, she raised a question through chat. So she was differentiating between savagery and barbarity. So I request Syamala to react. Hello,
good
sir.
evening, sir.
Yeah.
Here my point is, Raghavan sir was talking about the dissociating ourselves from globalization, the ideologically. So ideologically means, do you mean that keeping ourselves away from the external forces, external influences to retain our culture?
Yeah, the answer is that we can have two kinds of development.
Yeah.
This, as I explained, that will be very clear after some time, I think, when we deal with that particular subject. So
yeah,
development is considered as a unification.
yeah,
As far as this cultural evolution theory is concerned, we have to consume the universal product.
yes, sir.
Then only you are considered as this civilized.
Yeah,
That is
And,
why we are for that.
yes,
So if your mindset is get changed and understand in another way that we have to develop ourselves standing in our own this cultural this one and going up and up with the appropriating with the social change and the understanding social, political, and economic change happens outside. We have to appropriate ourselves and create a new culture out of that. We are not against development, but
yes,
we have to have the root of the culture should be there.
yes,
And from that, we can have any number of branches.
yeah,
So here, this is the difference between these things. You are getting, now we are losing our roots. We are nowhere. The culture, the
Yes.
diversity of the different culture is nowhere now. Everything is going to be unified, and we eat the universal food. We wear universal this one, and everything is like that only. So that we are not now. We are for now because the definition given by Alan Dennis that any group of people having its own identity. He explains identity. What is identity also? So those people, we are not against the development, but develop how we have to develop.
And evolution of culture is coterminous to evolution of consciousness also, no, sir?
Yeah,
Yes.
it always know whatever any reality in this world, it will be backed by the understanding, the cognition.
Yes.
The cognition is according to your ideology. So what happens in this world is that ideology didn't get much change, and we are superficial, we are doing something, and same earlier ideology works on that, and whatever we got in the name of this development, it won't work on that particular society basically. That is happening in our society. So we had to deal this subject in detail, I think. This is the way that we, folklorists also should be part of this, the whole developmental process. We had to identify ourselves that what is the role that we have in this developmental process that is happening all over the world. Then only you can have your own the existence of the subject as well as it is for the humanity also.
Yes.
We are talking about diversity. How can keep the diversity? Is it possible? If this uplifting model of development, you can keep the diversity.
Yes.
Accepting the surrounding, all surrounding happenings and surrounding situation, we change ourselves. We create a new text for our life. That is called uplifting. Then also we will be different from the nearby culture.
Yes.
They are also uplifting. So the uplifting is from the basic fundamental things that never get changed.
Yeah.
That is root is there.
Yes.
But the express, it is called manifestation. Manifestation will be different.
Yes.
That is why I took this example of this root. Root is then you can, a tree can create any number of, if this fertilizer, you give more fertilizer, then it get more these branches.
Yes.
What kind of fertilizer you are giving? If you give this fertilizer that gives the more flowers and fruits, then that branches create that kind of a change. In the same way, society also get this one without losing root. We have to flourish. We have to manifest so many things in different way. That is the idea that I am forwarding as far as folklore is concerned.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we will come again.
Yes.
We are going to come to discuss in detail all these things. That is why at this juncture I don't want to.
Yes.
Yeah, this is only just an introduction, and tomorrow onwards we will take up each and every item in detail. So he is going to repeat the whole thing. It's not in one day, but one by other day, like that. Is there any other questions or any query from participants? It's exactly 9 o'clock.
Here it is. You have to announce that the participants are requested to write a short one paragraph about each day class at that mail to institute email. Then we can understand how far they understood. Some of the people are not, they don't want to talk or discuss things, but they understand well. So let us
as Professor Raghavan Painat said, we request all the participants to write just one paragraph, a kind of a note on what we have perceived out of today's class, because it is necessary for us to tune ourselves to go ahead, because if we have any drawbacks, we will try to correct it, or if you have any difficulty to follow, we will try to correct them. So you please write a small note about, you need not praise or anything else. What we would like to know is what we have perceived or how you have understood this class. Only we would like to know that point. So by explaining that point, you try to write a note and submit by tomorrow before the class, because we would like to go through it. Then if there are any changes or initiative further, we'll do it. I request Professor Challaparamal, Professor Sudhakar Reddy and Professor Raghavan Painat to stay. We need to discuss for 5 more minutes. And my appeal to all other special invitees and other scholars who have joined through YouTube, by tomorrow onwards, the connection will be available only by 7 o'clock. Why? Because before that all the participants will come and join. Only when class starts, then only, because it takes another 3 to 4 minutes to see in the YouTube. So it's better to join by 7 o'clock, and the Zoom connection will be open by 7 o'clock. They can join, but it is open only by 7 o'clock for others. But for the participants, I think 10 minutes before it will be open. You can join, and sharply by 7 o'clock we will start the class. Okay,
Sir,
thank you all. Thank you.
Sir, Professor Reddy sir,
Ah,
I have a Professor Reddy sir. I have a
yeah.
question.
Yeah, please.
Myself, Dr. Sujoy Kumar Mondol. I have already wrote a mail to you, but I have not received any mail from your end regarding the link. Today I have collected the link from my research scholar. Can you understand?
Sir, you're muted.
Hello, Professor Sujay Kumar. You have not sent your consent to join the thing. That's why you are not given any link. I do remember that.
No, sir. I have sent the consent.
No. It is not available with what you call with that email. I have checked it twice because you sent me the communication. I checked it with the what you call email. You have not sent your consent. That's why we didn't send that one. But
No, sir. I
of
have
course,
sent the consent. I have sent the consent to you.
yeah, but I am only
I have
talking
record.
about the email.
I have record. I have sent the reply mail to I have sent the consent through reply mail. Okay, on 30th or 30th January.
Okay, sir, but the point is, you have been selected to be the as one of the participants. But only thing is, we requested all the selected scholars to send their consent to join the what you call program. And to our knowledge, you have not sent. So we thought that you are not interested. So that's why no communication was sent to you. Anyhow, if you are interested, we'll be happy.
I am interested.
Okay, you please join. Tomorrow onwards, you will get the link.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I think Shivkumar. Yeah, I think we can conclude this session for today. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of participants, we would like to thank Raghavan Payanat, sir, and all the resource persons for having a wonderful beginning. We had a wonderful theoretical session, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Yeah. Okay then.
Sir, you can inform those who are going to do the welcome address and organization for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Otherwise, sir, we can stop YouTube live and the recording itself, sir.
Okay, we can close. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The YouTube live and recording can be closed.
Sir, can I end the session?
No, sir. You can close the YouTube live, sir. Stop the YouTube live. And Reddy sir can instruct us, those who are going to do the sessions tomorrow, who is going to welcome and how we are going to organize, sir.
I think Shivkumar, you can conclude the session now.